scares us just thinking about it. When you hear it, you're gonna think we're insane.
Try us. Please, from the start.
Australian director James Wan is widely known by horror movie fans around the world. From his work on the Saw movies, the Insidious movies, and not forgetting the Conjuring franchise as well. Although he's beginning to widen his film genres after being chosen to work on Furious 7 and Aquaman 2, how does he continue to scare us so much through his movies, and why? Taking a look at his camera work, James Wan is widely known for his use of handheld camera shots that tend to track the subject of his particular scenes. If we take a look at the Insidious franchise, for example, we see a lot of this beginning to occur, particularly in these clips from the first movie when Renee is investigating her home. The camera is placed more often behind her as she walks through the halls, giving us the certain uneasy feeling of her being watched. However, another great scene to analyse is from the second instalment of the Conjuring franchise. This suspenseful clip, known as the Crooked Man scene, uses the idea of the tracking shot to follow the boy's eyes, showing us his perspective. This allows the audience to emphasise with the feeling of unpredictability and the fear that the boy is experiencing. James Wan also tends to use a lot of the zoom shots within his production to emphasise focus and engage audiences. We see this used here, as the camera zooms into the face of the girl as she screams, and also here as the mother screams for help. Within a horror movie genre, editing can be pivotal to the overall scare factor of the film. It can determine the atmosphere and increase the suspense when done correctly.
What's wrong? Mom? Who's that?
When editing, James Wan seems to pay particular interest in the rhythm and eye tracing of his clips. Looking again at the scene from The Conjuring 2, where we meet our antagonist, Valak, in a fearful encounter, we can see the use of rhythm creating suspense as James Wan draws out the shots longer throughout the scene, giving us a certain sense of immersion and a lack of escape from the scare. This is until the scene reaches a climax and the shots pick up pace to match the adrenaline felt by the characters. Moving forward, in an interview, James Wan stated that if I had to pinpoint what's the most important in a scary movie, the soundscape or the visuals, I'd pick sound. This stated opinion is clearly portrayed in most, if not all, of his movies, particularly in his work on the terrifying Insidious movies. Although his use of visuals are boldly frightening when shown, he tends to mainly use a mix of both diegetic and non-diegetic sounds. Diegetic sounds are sounds coming from within the scene. However, non-diegetic sounds are coming from post-production, for example, music. James Wan cleverly entangles both into creating a higher level of intensity in his scenes. Unlike other horror filmmakers that randomly throw random sounds and music for easy jump scares, James Wan draws out his silences and uses little music, focusing the audience's attention on the dialogue, until of course a jump scare.
I can still hear that voice.
What?
Looking forward at lighting. The horror movie genre is widely known for the use of lack of saturation and dark lighting. James Wan tends to stick to this idealization in the hopes of portraying our childhood fears of the dark. He states, "I'm a huge fan of not showing you things and letting your imagination do the rest." The use of dimly lit setting also helps promote his idea of suspense and the fear of the unknown. A great example of his use of lighting is from the hide and clap scene within the first installment of The Conjuring. The scene begins already dimly lit by only lamps, however grows increasingly darker as the character investigates the noise appearing from the pitch black basement. This is until the bulb is switched on, creating what seems the only motivated light source in the scene. As the suspense grows within the scene, we as an audience become reliant on the light as a term of safety for the character. The bulb then blows, leaving us with nothing but sounds. Similar to the bulb, the character lights a match until being blown out, leaving the audience with just the sounds again, allowing our imagination to spur. Looking at another James Wan film, Dead Silence, the lighting is also very similar to The Conjuring. The light from the scene is very limited and kept to a single lantern, and the rays coming from the outside moon, again promoting his idea of fear in the unknown. Lastly, like most movie genres, production design is vital in determining the plot, atmosphere and mood. This is especially true in horror movie genres, as the mood and atmosphere is critical to the fear factor the movie is aiming to reach. James Wan understands the importance of this and aims to use his design of the production to invoke our fears in a subtle way. Looking at the reverse bear trap scene from his first ever feature film, Saw, we see how the production design is crucial in bringing this particular scene together. The dark grunge feel to the room creates a sense of uneasiness as well as the use of the puppet as the main antagonist. Interestingly, Wan has a tendency of using child-related items to provoke fear. For example, not only the use of the puppet within Saw, but the use of Annabelle, the doll, and the music box within the Conjuring series. To conclude, James Wan definitely knows how to hit the fear factor within his horror movies. It's going to be interesting to see how he can incorporate his techniques in building suspense within other movie genres. However, he'll be forever known for sparking a unique fear within his fans and frightening us from his dark hallways, creepy dolls, classical music, to even bloody nuns.
Who's in the shadows? Who's ready?